everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. Today, we will be talking about iglide bearings for the bicycle industry. And I am Nicole Lang, the iglide product manager, and I'm very happy to have with me today Alexander Welcker, who is our bicycle industry manager located in igus, Germany, so our corporate headquarters. And without any further ado, let's get started. First, we're going to talk a little bit about igus and who we are. igus Germany was founded in 1964. We have locations in over 35 countries and partners in another 80. We have over 4,100 employees worldwide or globally. We do hold a host of different ISO certifications and quality certifications as well. And we do offer global support. So we do have igus subsidiaries located in those 35 different countries, and we work very closely together to support our customers with their applications and their needs. I'm located at this building. This is our US headquarters, founded in 1985. This building covers igus US, Canada, and Mexico. It's 225,000 square feet, and it is, again, the corporate headquarters for North America. We have complete inventory of over 28,000 igus components, and we are also ISO certified in the US. We have over 430 employees in North America, which do include 120 direct igus sales employees who can come visit you on site and offer you technical support. Now let's talk a little bit about igus and who we are and what we do. Again, we were founded in 1964 in a garage and founded by Gunter and Margaret Blaze. And now we've evolved to who we are today. We make motion plastics, so some of the products that we offer you can see here, including our cable carriers and cables, but also our linear bearings. Today we're going to be talking specifically about iglide plain bearings, as well as iGual, and a little bit about plastic gears as well. We can do custom parts, and our materials we're going to talk about in a minute. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about them. Some of the benefits are self-lubricating operation, low wear rates, and low coefficient of friction. All of our plastics are homogeneously blended. So they start out with a base polymer, which is responsible for resistance to wear. And then we add fibers and/or filaments to reinforce the bearing and allow for high forces. This also makes edge loading possible. There's also solid lubricants, which help to keep the bearing dry running, so there's no need for external lubrication. These help to prevent friction in the system. Again, the entire bearing is homogeneously blended, which means that the entire bearing acts as wear surface. We test all of our bearings in the largest test lab in the industry. This test lab is located in Cologne, Germany, where Alex is. It's over 41,000 square feet, and we conduct more than 16,000 tests per year. All of our parts are tested very, very rigorously with a battery of tests that must be done in order to consider a material suitable for our catalog or for customer use. We develop over 300 new materials a year based on customer requests and needs. We can also test for you. So if you have a test requirement or a test that you'd like us to conduct for you, we're able to do that. All of this empirical data is used in our lifetime calculation tools found on our website. And now I'm going to pass it off to Alex, who's going to start to talk to you a little bit about bicycle applications. Take it away, Alex.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for the introduction to igus and myself. And let's get started with probably our most popular application and where it all started for igus in the bicycle industry, which is the J guide bushing for dropper posts. So we advise using a iglide J guide bushing because the material J is optimized for linear movements and works extremely well with aluminium and steel shafts, which are the most common shafts in this application. Due to the slit in the guide ring, we don't have issues with temperature or expansions related to temperature or humidity. So the guide ring works and doesn't. There's no play. It's also a lot more lightweight than a metal alternative would be. Another advantage to switching to a polymer or iglide bushing is that they are very resistant to edge loads. The homogeneity of the material means that the consistency and quality of the bearing remains throughout the entire lifetime. And there's a very low slipstick effect, which is due to the fact that this material works especially well in these linear movements. Another advantage that our customers value is that we're very customizable. So we will work with you to find the perfect bearing for your solution. Moving on, we'll stick to the seat post applications, and we're going to go over to the suspension seat posts. So in this application, we advise using our iglide P. This is an application you'll find more commonly in city bikes as opposed to the other application, which is a mountain bike application. So city bikes are left out in the rain and have to deal with weather infringement on a regular basis. And iglide P is one of our materials that is very well suited to deal with moisture, or has very low moisture absorption. Or the seat that needs to have active play for riding comfort is enhanced by the vibration dampening attributes that our polymer bearings have. They're also, as I had mentioned before, extremely resistant to edge loads, whereas a PTFE layer in this application is commonly worn out very quickly and does not maintain or becomes very rigid over time. Another benefit that I'll mention throughout this presentation regularly is that polymers are very lightweight, so you're saving weight on the entire bike because there are up to 8 bearings in this application. The other attribute that this has is that these bearings are out and in contact with not only rain, but also dirt on a regular basis. And so dirt infringement is a common complaint or works aggressively away at the bearings, or at least at metal alternatives, whereas our polymers are very well suited to deal with dirt. The dirt might get in, but it travels through, and due to the homogeneity of the material, it does not affect its durability or the consistency at which or how the bearing works. Another huge advantage to using polymers in general, as opposed to a metal alternative, is that there's no rust, so there's also no maintenance issues. There's no relubrication issue. There's no relubrication required. And so when you use igus polymer bushings in these applications, they are there for life and they don't need to be regularly maintained. Our next application that we'd like to talk about, and sticking to the same material for the same reason, regular contact with outside environment and being left out to the rain on a regular basis, is the brake lever, or the brakes in general. iglide P, I just mentioned the advantages, has low moisture absorption, is lightweight, does not rust, and does not need to be relubricated. And a common problem in the brake lever is that there are issues with metal-on-metal applications over time, especially if the PTFE layer in a metal bushing were to wear out. And so you don't have to worry about any issues with metal-on-metal. Additionally, you will find that there's no squeaking or screeching issues. You don't need to re-lubricate the lever. It will work consistently over time. I had mentioned it in the dropper post application already, but again, here, customizable sizes are always a big advantage to using an injection molded bearing. Our next application is an application that I like to demonstrate how durable our materials truly are. And here we actually have quite a few different materials that we can offer in this application. Our iglide J3 line, W300, or even a P210 material are optimized to work in pedal applications. They offer a plethora of benefits. First of all, due to the way that they're manufactured and the way that our materials work, we can have very thin wall thicknesses. And so we are able to save space, which is a very big benefit for pedal applications. I had said that we're 5 times lighter than a metal bushing alternative. This number only increases when we're competing with needle or ball bearings. Another thing is that counter to maybe some public perception, we actually enhance lifetime. The DIN ISO requirement for a bearing in a pedal application is that it needs to withstand 120,000 cycles at 90 kilograms pressure applied. We've done testing with our bearings. We do, as Nicole had mentioned, a lot of in-house testing, and we can confidently say that we can surpass this in spades. We've done tests and we can do over 2 million cycles at 120 kilograms pressure applied. And this demonstrates how highly technical these materials are that we're working with. Another huge advantage, of course, especially in the pedal application, is that our maintenance-free advantages. They're self-lubricating, so you don't need to take apart the pedal, get rid of the dirt, re-lubricate the bearings. It works for itself, and even if dirt does travel into the pedal, it does not affect the bearings, our bearings, the same way it would a ball bearing. And another advantage, even though it used to be a disadvantage when pedal applications first came out and people were using ball bearings and wanted them to be able to spin rapidly, our bearings have a slightly higher breakaway torque. Nowadays, we've come to realize that when we take our foot off of the pedal, we actually don't want it to spin vigorously, but we want to be able to replace our feet on the pedal at ease. And due to this higher breakaway torque, our bearings actually offer a benefit in this area. Another benefit or a way to increase the breakaway torque and also keep out more dirt from the pedal is that you can use felt seals in this application. So igus has felt seals that we can attach to our flanged bearings or individually, depending on how you want to construct your pedal. But so there's ways to even heighten the breakaway torque and keep out even more dirt from the pedal application when using an igus solution. Another huge advantage, especially for these materials, that they can take high load capacities. So maybe not so much in city bikes, but when talking about enduro mountain biking or BMX, there will be high shock loads, sometimes even frequently, that the bearings need to be able to deal with. And these vibration dampening bearings are more than apt to take on these shock loads, and they do not in any way cause issues or wear out the bearing when having to do this, and they will not break. Another high-end or high-demand application is are the bearings that we supply for free hubs. So classically, you'll find 2 ball bearings in the center by the wheel, and the third bearing, which detaches the drivetrain from the hub, is the one that we are interested in. This bearing needs to be able to deal with very high rotations, also high temperatures due to this rotation or speed. And so we use materials, either RJ3 or W300, which you heard, which I just talked about for the pedal application, but also if really high temperatures, for instance, in a race bike where you're going 80 kilometers an hour partially, if this is the demand, then we have extremely high demanding materials that can deal with these temperatures. Another huge advantage to using polymer bearings, apart from saving weight, of course, is again the small installation place. They're also very dirt resistant, as I had mentioned, and in this application, dirt resistance is extremely important. The ball bearings that are classically used in this application are aggressively sealed, and this can lead to very high breakaway forces. And whereas I had mentioned in pedal applications, we have higher breakaway forces, we actually have lower ones in the free hubs because the bearings, the ball bearings that are usually used here are so aggressively sealed that they heighten the breakaway force. Whereas our bearings don't need to be aggressively sealed, and so they actually allow the wheel to spin longer independently as opposed to a full ball bearing alternative. Our next application, going back to mountain bikes, is our bearings for the eyelet application. I've mentioned the some of the unique selling points or advantages that polymers have. They're resistant to edge loads. They're very dirt resistant. They're lightweight, but and the fact that they're rust free. But especially when talking about mountain bikes, these are very important factors. When you ride down their trail, your bike gets very muddy, and it's not uncommon for riders to take a high pressure cleaner, rinse off the bike, bring it back home, and leave it in the garage to dry for a week. And weekend after weekend, this introduction to dirt, water, and then letting it sit for a while, this will eat away at metal alternatives. Whereas our polymers cannot rust, they deal extremely well with this dirt infringement, and the high pressure cleaner going at it will not wash away any lubricant as they're worked in solidly into the material. One of the advantages for the end user, for your customers, would, for instance, also be that they're extremely easy to replace. So the classic metal-backed PTFE layered bushing, if not professionally replaced, a very common problem is that the PTFE layer is scratched away at whilst the rider is trying to replace it. Whereas our bearings can be taken out with a flathead screwdriver and then replaced by pushing the bearing into the press fit housing. Another advantage that the material J3B offers that you will see a picture of here on the lower right corner in the presentation is color uniformity. So it's a black material, it's very sleek, and depending on the color of your shock, it will blend in very nicely. I had just mentioned the advantages of our materials in the mountain bike industry and the high pressure cleaner as let's say a danger to a metal alternative, and especially in the swing arm, we find that the combination of the grease that one might use where the dirt likes to stick to, and then or that eats away at the ball bearing, or the water that washes away the lubricant, leads to a very good ball bearing in the beginning becoming a subpar alternative over time. So the longer you use your mountain bike, the more advantages you will find our bearings offer, as they allow the rider to ride over time at ease without having to worry about maintenance. Another advantage that our bearings offer is that it doesn't matter to these materials that we're offering here or suggesting here whether or not we have a pivoting application or a rotational application. So ball bearings are very well suited to rotate at high pressure and high speeds over a long period of time. What they're not amazing at is having a lot of pressure applied to the same three balls that will eat their way into the housing over time. And so over time with a ball bearing, you will hear the click of the balls working there, or the notches, them rolling through the notches in the swing arm application. This would not happen with a polymer bearing. Another reason that we offer these two materials is that they're very good at dealing with the high pressures and the shock loads that a mountain bike needs to be able to take on. And our new developed material, iglide M210, can also be made as a thick-walled bearing, which can offer a one-to-one replacement of needle bearings if you have these in your frames. Going along the lines of maintenance-free being maybe the largest advantage to our bearings in this application is in the derailleur. So this is an application that, like any other, will be either, even if it's a city or a mountain bike, regularly introduced to water, either by rain or the high pressure cleaner. But especially here, compared to any other application in the bike, you cannot maintain these bearings. There's no way that a normal rider will take apart their derailleur to re-lubricate the derailleur or to replace the bearings. And so when using a iglide material or bearing, you're actually ensuring longevity over lifetime of the application. So the rider does not have to worry about, at least in the pivot points, the derailleur failing on them, because this is an application where our materials will last for life. And sticking with the classic material, G is the one that we had advised for, or that I would recommend in the derailleur. Sticking to a G or J application here in the cantilever brakes, this is just a simple pivoting motion. And yet we still do not want the brakes to weigh too much. We don't want the application to rust, and we want it to be able to deal with all the conditions from the outside world. And so a standard material like J or G will help you save costs, but also alleviate issues due to all of the things I had just mentioned. So going with a polymer solution is definitely the right way to go, even for a simple pivoting motion like in a cantilever brake. A bit more complicated is the disc brake. So here we have an application where a lot more heat is generated around the bearing. And so you need to find a material that does not expand due to the high heat or the high temperature. And our H materials are made exactly for these applications. They still are lightweight, they're self-lubricated, and they have all the maintenance-free attributes that everything else does, but they also don't expand when high temperatures arise. And so that is why we would advise the H4 bearing for the disc brake. Coming to a few other applications other than standard bearings, but still part of the Drytech or iglide family, are our applications in the e-bike motor. So we will have bearings on the torsion shaft. We will have gears for the planetary gear system. And we also offer a dry spin, so a spindle solution for the shifting mechanism within the e-drive motor. All parts are customizable. We offer 3D printing and injection molding manufacturing capabilities. All of our applications have the same attributes as I have just mentioned multiple times throughout this presentation. So they're self-lubricated, they weigh less. They're, by the way, also low in noise generation. And especially in a motor, you do not want to have to reopen it and maintain the gears, the shafts, the spindles, or anything like that. So low maintenance is a huge advantage here. Another thing is that they're vibration dampening, so they offer a sturdy and stable running motor throughout the lifetime of the engine, or the heart of the e-bike. A very new and very exciting development in the bike industry is our iglide E material for suspension forks. So this is a material we've developed which has the lowest stick slip effect, and it's optimized for aluminium shafts. So whilst we were developing this, and Nicole had mentioned before, we come up with about 300 new materials every year. This was a material we were very closely looking at the demands of the bike industry out for. So we knew that, especially in a fork, stick slip effect is an absolute no-go. And we knew that play has to be minimized to the max. And so whilst developing this material, we were looking, how can we keep it still lightweight as a given as a polymer, but how can we eliminate these issues? How can we keep it, though, that it doesn't have temperature expansion or moisture expansion, and that it still can deal with oil that is maybe still in the shaft tube, so that or in the fork tube to lubricate other things or to keep the shaft lubricated. So all these things, which wouldn't be necessary, at least not for our bearings, but we looked at all of these things, and what we came up with was iglide E, an absolute game changer and a force to be reckoned with for fork suspensions in the future. Another advantage that our polymers offer is that we can offer even low-cost solutions for applications that don't have high technical demands. So for instance, in a battery hatch, you don't need it to be a bearing to take on extremely high forces, or for it to be extremely durable to temperatures, but it still needs to be able to cope with all the environmental input that it gets, so rain, dirt, all that stuff, and it needs to function properly over lifetime. So when you buy a $5,000, $10,000 e-bike, you don't want the most simple application to fail because a improper bearing solution was chosen that rusts over time or that expands due to outside temperatures in the, let's say, California or Arizona area. We offer a proper solution for these, which are our low-cost bearings for these applications, bringing along with them all the advantages of our iglide materials. So just a quick round off for the people interested. We also do a lot of work in cargo bikes. So you'll see we offer rod ends in the steering rod for cargo bikes. We also have dryland linear guide rails to replace rolls or wheels in sliding doors. I had just mentioned low-cost alternatives for hinges, but also we have the same advantages of having edge load resistant bearings as opposed to a metal alternative that one might use here to ensure that the kink stand works properly over time. Another very interesting application is the bearing in the headset, especially in a cargo bike. This headset doesn't have to take on vigorous forces or loads, and so a polymer bearing can offer all the advantages that I mentioned before without overcomplicating the design and using something where the main focus is a nice steering feeling and not, let's say, a heavy overdeveloped ball bearing design for a bearing that doesn't need it. Thank you very much for that, for listening. These, I hope I could shed some light on each of these applications, and Nicole will take it away from here. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Alex. So Alex went through quite a few benefits that we offer for various bicycle applications. Just in summary, some of the main key benefits for the bicycle industry include the elimination of any corrosion due to the polymer composition of the bearings, as well as the reduction in weight. So obviously critical in bicycle applications. The ability to handle shock and impact loads, the resistance to both dirt, dust, and any type of debris, and also the elimination of the need to relubricate due to the composition of the bearing material. So again, all bearing materials made by igus, we offer robust, lightweight, and maintenance-free solutions. Some other benefits that we provide, we do have easy CAD downloads. So any of our catalog items come with free downloads. We also have various configuration tools for gears, for example, or as Alex mentioned, even our dry spin. So you're able to configure custom options and then get CAD models directly from those as well. We do have fast and easy prototypes. We have a 3D print service located in Rhode Island, as well as in Germany and in China. So we're able to support fast and easy prototyping using our 3D print service. All of those materials go through the same testing as our iglide materials. So they're all extremely tested and very wear resistant. We can also do machined parts, and we now have a fast line option for prototyping, which is actually injection molded. It would be what we would use later for a serial tool. So it is a serial tool. We have no minimum order quantity, but again, please do not hesitate to reach out for samples. We will gladly provide them, as well as quality certificates and a complete quality department in Germany, as well as in the US. We have RoHS compliance, and we do support you globally as well as locally. So thank you again for your attention. We appreciate it. If anyone has any questions, suggestions, any projects you'd like us to review, or anything that you'd like to go over, or some samples that you'd like, please feel free to reach out to either Alex or myself. Or if you're already in contact with one of our territory sales managers, please feel free to reach out to them as well. We're always happy to support you. You can see down below, we have an exhibition center in our Rhode Island facility. That's where I'm standing. And then also Alex is in our German exhibition center, or Motion Plastics booth tour. So we're happy to do those for you as well, or for your company. And we can do company specific lunch and learns or webinars where we'll provide more details for the applications you work on. We have various videos available on our YouTube channel, as well as an engineer's toolbox, which offers various items, including white papers, as well as tech talks, some videos, and some how-to guides, just to name a few. So again, thank you very much for your attention. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Thank you.